Hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you about Guild Masters today, and these cards here are the different guilds that you're going to be running in Guild Masters. Each person is running one of these guilds, and they're trying to outfit these adventurers that are going out on these quests. You're not going on the quests, you're actually just trying to make sure that all of these adventurers who are saying, hey, I need a magic sword or else I can't kill that evil wizard, you're the person that's making that sword for them. And the reason why you're doing that is not purely just to help people out on quests and what have you. But the thing is the king is on his way to town. And when the king gets there, he's going to ask these adventurers, how are you able to, beat all these quests and defeat these evil creatures and evil sorcerers and what have you. They're going to say, well, that was the guild that did the best job. And of course, then the king will smile upon you and, give you much patronage and gold and notoriety or what have you. And ultimately, you win the game. And so it's a fun game in which, this is something where it's kind of an economy game where you're going to be collecting different resources and then using those resources to, make those magic swords or armor or what have you. But then the cool thing is it's like the adventurers go on the quest and they're getting a treasure. And so it's like one of those things where it's like you kind of said, yeah, I'll go ahead and give you this item, but you got to make sure you give me some treasure you find when you get that quest done. And so then they come back and they're giving you these treasures. And the treasures could be like artifacts and relics or just a sack of gold, but at least you're getting a little kickback, if you will. Like as I said, there's an economy to the game. There's a very limited resources that you and the other players are going to be fighting over, and it makes for a very tense game as far as making sure that you are able to do exactly what you want to do on your turn when you want to do it, or do you have to end up biding your time and waiting until you have a better option, if you will. But let me show you how the game is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, cool. Alright, so this is Guild Masters, and if you're going to be a Guild Master, you need a guild. So at the end of the game, each person will be randomly given one of these guilds, and each of these guilds has like a special ability. Like the Band of Builders has +1 storage. Like the Guardians Guild here gets some, they get to pick what starting resources they want. Normally you don't start with any. Holy Order has the same kind of thing. The Explorers League, they get a quest to start the game, and like the Merchants of Mir start with an additional 4 gold. So you just go ahead and whatever one you get, they're supposed to be handed out randomly. I guess you could pick if you wanted to, or whatever. It just doesn't really matter. You pick a first player, and then that person is going to take an action. You get 1 action on each one of your turns, and then the next person goes, and the next person goes, and so on and so forth. The timing of this game is determined, and how long the game lasts is determined by when you finish off these quests over here. Because in this deck of quests, there are level 1 quests, and then eventually you're going to get to these level 2 quests, and eventually the king shows up. And when the king shows up, you go through the process of storing your final points, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Now there is one kind of cool moment here, if I can find it. So this is the King's Herald. It kind of signifies the fact that the king is on his way. The King's Herald is a card that everybody secretly bids gold for. So when you see this is coming up, and when you secretly bid the gold, and then it's worth 4 points, whoever gets the card. They get that at the end of the game. So it's kind of a neat little thing to have going on there. And obviously, if you play games of this type, once you complete a quest, you take that quest card off. You get to keep those because those are worth points at the end of the game. And then you just replace them as so. A couple other things quickly. You can see that there are these different buildings up here. These buildings, these are stacks of all the same. So these are the warehouses, these are the gem workshops, the magic arcanum, and the library. Those are all the exact same. These particular buildings are different. Each one is a different type of building, and you don't actually go through them. You don't have to build this one first and then you get to the next one. If you want to build one of those buildings on your turn, you can go through the tiles and kind of pick what you want. And so you can find out that the cost for them is up here in gold. So the chapel costs 11. And then you can see that if this is going to be worth 7 points at the end of the game, if you have hired one of these workers that actually has this symbol. So they have the hammer symbol on them. And so you can see this guy, this lumberjack here, has a hammer symbol on him right there. And so if you had this on your chapel at the end of the game, that would be worth 7 points. pretty straightforward, pretty simple. These here are, you know, like, here's the hideout. You know, you get the bonus points if you have 2 rogues on here, 2 nobles, and so forth. You know, these are, you know, fairly straightforward. These have a few more wrinkles, and these are actually only used when you have a 4 or a 5 player game. I've set this up to be a 5 player game. So, like, some of these, like, you get 2 per this type of like, you can see that is like the fighter type of hero. So, like, if you have that as far as like the Hall of Warriors, you get the 2 victory points for that. 1 victory point for every 2 gold you have at the end. So these are slightly different and more varied, you know, and so it's just kind of like those are added to give you more options when you have the larger number of group of people. Now, I should mention that all of these resources here, like, that are represented by the discs, that is all the resources that are available in the game. The thing is that people will be putting these resources on their little card here, and later on, maybe if they build a warehouse, they'll have room for more of them. But as they use up those spaces, these get taken off of the board, and they don't get returned until you actually spend them. So you can kind of monkey with the market a little bit, but the thing is that, you know, you can't really hold on to them. They don't do you any good. You need to spend them to complete these quests and start getting points. You know, so the way the game works is you have to pick on your turn. You have several different options as far as your different actions that you're going to take. The most common one, especially right at the beginning, is to gather. You're gathering resources to do that. You can pick 3 of one type, or you can pick 1 of 2 different types. So if I wanted, I could take 3 iron over here, or I could take 1 wood and 1 iron. So, you know, if you want different types of resources, that's what you have to do. Now, these are gems and magic energy. You can't collect those until you either get a worker that allows you to do it, or you get either the gem workshop or the magic arcanum, which allows you to actually collect those. So, you know, if you have quests that are asking for those types of resources, you need to basically ready yourself to be able to do that in the future. And the nice thing is that, you know, if you like build like the magic arcanum, it's still worth a point, you know, after you build it for the 5 gold. And then, see, you can even see it there. It tells you you can gather at that point after you've done it. Then that would be your entire action. Remember, you only get 1 action. The other action you can do is to craft. And now by crafting, what you're doing is you're creating the item that these quests need. So, like, this says destroy the Dragon Lord, and it costs 3 wood to be able to create that. So if I do that, and I create that, I then go ahead and I take this quest and I get the rewards for it. Now, you might see that some other quests here, like this one, they have 2 separate things. So this is, the quest is the Plunder the Warlock's Tower. And so there's these heroes that want to do that. But they need a sword, and they need boots to do it. So you need 3 of these, the three the iron or the steel to do that, and to make boots you need 3 leather and a steel. Now, you actually sell these to the adventurers, and so they would get 3 gold for that one and 4 gold for this one. But when you do that, you can only build once. You aren't actually building twice when you can do that. So you have to actually, like, the other adventurer, or the other player, I should say, could come in and finish that off, and so you kind of share the joint victory in completing that particular quest. To mark that you've completed the quest, you actually take one of your little symbols here that have a sold. You get 3 of those markers, and you mark that it's sold. Now, so if somebody else comes in and swoops in and completes it, then you get the first choice as far as the rewards, as far as the treasure cards. I mean, you've already gotten your 3 gold, but on the top of each one of these cards, there are these treasure card symbols here. And those colors here, the blue, the red, those match up with over here, you know, the blue, red, and yellow. And so you can actually, so you can see that, but you get to pick which one of these 2 you want. And then the other person gets the other one. Plus, if you're the first person to build the first item for that particular quest, you get to keep the card. And as I said, the cards are worth, you know, points at the end of the game as well. And then, of course, you get your soul token back after you've done that. Now, the cards themselves have different things available to them. And they do kind of vary as far as, you know, what they are. So you can kind of see here, like, there's this barrel and, like, you know, the helmet and the armor are there. And so you can kind of see that here you have, like, these scrolls of plenty, you have ancient armor, you know, treasure maps. And with these treasures, they have these little powers. So, like, you know, this is for gaining resources. And the next player gains a resource as well. And you can use that for the ability, but then you discard this. You can also sell these at any time for the gold that's listed on the particular card as well. And some of these things, like when they're artifacts, those are really important, because then there's things that you're going to gain extra victory points for, you know, because if you collect unique artifacts, you gain bonus victory points at the end of the game. So artifacts are always good. And if I can find one, there's relics as well. Let me see if I can find. I think they're in the next deck. The red deck has those. So yes, so like the red deck has these relics, and the relics are worth victory points, you know, flat victory points as well, that'll be worthwhile at the end of the game. And the gold treasures, they have lots and lots of money in them, and so you can kind of, you know, gamble on those things, you know, and trying to figure out when you have multiple options. And as far as which quests you want to finish and complete, you can kind of pick that to decide, you know, what you need. Do you need more relics? Do you need more artifacts? Do you want gold so you can start buying more workers and what have you? So there's all those things to consider as well. Now, when you buy a worker, and that's the crafting part of that particular that part of the turn. Now, you can craft, which means you can actually build one of these buildings as long as you have the money to pay for it. And you have the option of hiring a worker as well. You can do both. And you can do just hiring a worker, or you could do just hiring or just building a building. Buildings, you know, as you can guess, you just put them down and put them next to your starting building. There's no, like, you know, limit as far as that goes, so don't worry about that. Your workers, when you pick a worker, what happens is that, as you can probably guess, like if you hired this lumberjack, these slide down and you add another one to the pile, like so. But when you purchase one, everyone to the right of the one that you hired gets a gold coin on them, like so. And the reason for that is you're actually making them cheaper for the next person in line. So, like, the miner costs 4 gold, but now he's going to cost 3 for the next person. And the fighter, it costs 7, and now it costs 6. So as more and more people kind of skip maybe the more expensive ones, or the ones you don't want, they become cheaper and cheaper. If one of these workers ever has equal gold to the amount that they cost, they just are discarded at that point because nobody wanted them, and they just go off to greener pastures or what have you to find somebody who actually does want them to work for them. These particular workers, after, like, you get through, there's these diamond workers, and there are these, like, kind of star workers. And the star workers are a little bit more specialist. Like, here's the specialist. If you hire them, you can gather the gems and the arcane stuff, even if you don't have those buildings made. You know, like the witch, take a 1-item quest. You don't gain coins or treasure for it, but you get to take the quest, which is worth points at the end of the game. And so the star ones have, you know, a little bit more power to them and have a lot more different variety as far as their abilities. And as, like, these people get hired, you eventually will get down to that point and you'll have those and have access to them. Eventually, as I said, the king shows up. When the king shows up, you're going to total up the points that each person has. You total the points you get for all your buildings. You total up the points for all of, you know, here, like, you can actually see the scoring. Your relics, you get 2 for every relic you have, and then whoever has the most relics gets 5. Unique artifacts, if you manage to get 6, it's worth a big 25 points. Scrolls, you get 4 points each, but only if you have a library, and you get 1 point for each quest that you complete. You are also able to, you know, like, offer a tribute to the king. So if you have a bunch of money, at the end of the game, you're able to take that money and you get 1 point for every 4 gold you have, and you can also get 1 point for every 2 resources that you have that you did not use, and you can hand that off for little extra points as well. So after all is said and done, everybody totals up their complete total points that they get from their buildings, their workers, their quests, their treasures, their money, their resources, everything else, and whoever has the most points obviously is the winner. This is a very fun game. I like games that have lots of different moving parts and lots of different ways to kind of compile points. I really like all the interchange that you have between the resources, and also like the fact that like you have this very limited treasury of resources, if you will. I should mention money is not limited. Money is unlimited. If you run out of money, you can just use something else for it. So money does you can't run out of that. But I do like I said, like the fact that the resources, you can actually have a strategy of kind of like when you see somebody like is trying or really needs a certain type of resource and you have a bunch of it, you can kind of hold on to it and kind of maybe shoehorn them a little bit to prevent them from using that, and then like waiting for like maybe the perfect quest to show up for yourself, that sort of thing. And I do really enjoy the whole process of having everything seems to kind of work together. They kind of hold hands. The buildings work well with the workers. The workers give you those extra abilities. And I should mention just quickly, like workers usually will give you an ability, like if you, the wizard, when you complete certain things, you get an extra blue treasure. And then like here with the miner, when you gather, you get an extra, because he's a miner obviously, when you take the gather action, you'll get an extra steel when you do that. And some of them just have things that are written out on them, like here's the beguiler. And when an opponent completes a quest, when you complete a quest with an opponent, you draw both the treasures, and then you pick the one that you want to use. So like you'd get to pick which one is the best. And so there's all these like ongoing effects that you're going to have as well. And I always love those variable powers and abilities when I'm playing games like this, because it does keep the game fresh, it keeps it interesting, and you never know which cards are going to pop up at which times. And so it's never the same game twice. So anyway, so that is how you play. Let me talk more about it in my final thoughts. I thought Guildmasters was a really, really surprising game. I saw it and I really thought, okay, this is going to be like kind of like a Lords of Waterdeep worker placement type thing, with these quests and the different, all the discs and everything out there. And then it turns out, no, it isn't worker placement at all. As I said, it is an economy game, and like that's the best description I can give you. I mean, it is a situation that because of the very, very limited actions that you get, you just get to pick one of 3 each and every turn. You're kind of racing each other and trying to be as efficient as possible, and making sure that each turn you're either gathering points in some way, or you're setting yourself up for a big gathering of points on the next turn. And the person who does the best job of doing that, turn in and turn out, is going to end up being the winner. I really, really like games, as I said, that have these different ways, the different interchange between the different parts of the game that actually work together to score points. I enjoy that. I like the whole process of hey, I'm going to build this building, and then I'm going to focus on getting a lot of these like hammer workers, and so then that's going to be worth extra points to me. I'm going to focus on getting a lot of the red treasures so I can get a ton of artifacts. I'm going to just, focus on getting a bunch of money and building as many buildings as I possibly can, so because that's a way to get points as well. And so you can kind of just, navigate the game how you want and focus on the different parts of the game that you want, and then use that interchange, that ability of each, part of the game kind of working in congruency with the other, to just develop your own goal, or develop your own way or method of winning. And it's fun to kind of compete against the other players and do it. And when you play with like 5 people, because of the fact that the resources are very limited, and I should say the resources are actually dependent upon the number of players. If you play with less people, there are less resources available. So because the other players, you're kind of waiting for them to spend it, and then it's always one of those situations where it's like, it seems like it's 2 people away that they finally, put that leather in there, and then the person to your right, gathers it up immediately and takes it, and so then you can't do it. And I like frustrating moments in games because it promotes difficult choices. It promotes the chance of you not being able to do exactly what you want to do every single turn, and so it makes you think in different avenues and different methods of actually like, okay, that didn't work. Let's do something else. And I appreciate games that make me think and keep me on my toes, and Guildmasters does that very, very well. So there you go. If you're looking for a cool little fantasy Euro game, I definitely suggest you check out Guildmasters. I think you're going to enjoy it a great deal. If you like games with high interactivity, and the fact that it isn't a garden game, it isn't, I'm just going to do my own thing here, and we're all going to race to see who does the best job at that. This isn't that. You are going to have some very, very good interaction with everybody at the table, and it is a game that everybody kind of pays attention to and everybody has a lot of fun with. So if you have any questions about Guildmasters, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.